والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. We have reached page 51 for those who have a book before them. And as you can see tonight, is a very intricate sort of detailed lesson regarding the term Sunnah. So in these lessons, what I would like is that there is no vacuum, there's no absence of any part of any term we put up there. As we learned in our first lesson, it was regarding the term Aqidah, and we took it thoroughly, trying, inshallah ta'ala, to disallow any absentee from that term. Likewise, last week's lesson was the term Salaf. Very, very important. You know, I cannot emphasize the importance of these terms. All of them. See, these lessons specifically tackle our problems that exist in our communities. The problems with the so-called unity and what we unify ourselves on. What does it mean to follow the methodology of a Salaf al-Salih? What is Aqidah? Who are the Salaf? What's our obligation towards them? Now, as you can see before your very eyes, the title is referring Ahlas Sunnah wal Jammah. Now, before we can get into Ahlas Sunnah wal Jammah, what exactly is Sunnah? A term that is greatly misconceived out there. Greatly misconceived. For that reason, inshaAllah ta'ala, tonight, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, we don't want any ignorance regarding this word after approximately 1 hour. We want to try to tackle everything that relates to it, obviously, on the surface, because in 1 hour you cannot do everything. But we will try our best to clarify everything that you need to know regarding this term. Hence, once you understand it, it will be easy for you to understand the term Ahlas Sunnah wal Jammah. So what is the term Sunnah? What is it? What's the linguistic definition of Sunnah? Sunnah comes from the verb Sanna yasinnu, which in other words in English means a way, a method, a path, a practice, a methodology, a road, a pathway, a paradigm, a parable. All that refers to Sunnah. Basically, a way. We've got a beautiful narration in the Sahih that says, لَتَتَّبِعَنَّ سُنَنَ مَنْ كَانَ قَبْلَهُ شِبْرًا بِشِبْرٍ وَذِرَاعًا بِذِرَاعٍ. You shall surely follow the ways of those who came before you. Span by span, cubit by cubit. What's a cubit? Cubit is from the elbow to the tip of your middle finger. That's a cubit. The Hadith is telling us as Muslims, this nation, that we will follow the ways of the non-Muslims. Span by span, span means from start to end. From start to end. You will follow them, their practices, their ways, their traditions, their customs, their culture, their methodologies in every shape, manner or form. Now surely this prophecy almost 1500 years ago is witnessed before our very eyes, is it not? And indeed it's only going to get greater. So this Hadith mentions the word Sunnah, the plural word of Sunnah, Sunan. This is just a singular for the term Sunan. So he's telling us here that you are Muslims will indeed follow the ways, follow the practices, no matter what it may be, Islamic or not. You see them doing it and you do it. So the term Sunnah is a way. Now it has two states. We're still on the linguistic definition. We haven't entered the technical term yet. So understand what I'm saying here. The term Sunnah is a way, is a road, is a practice that can be emulated or that can be introduced. It could be a good path that you introduce or a bad path. A righteous path or a wicked path. It could be praiseworthy or it could be reproachable, that which is rebuked and criticized. That's the term Sunnah in reality. Now there's a beautiful narration in the Sahih, in Muslim. It says, "Man sanna fil Islami sunnatan hasanatan falahu ajruha wa ajru man amila biha ba'da min ghayri an yanqusa min ujurihim shay'an." Whosoever, listen carefully to these words, whosoever introduces a good sunnah, the term is used, linguistically we're talking about. The term sunnah is used. Whosoever introduces a good path, a righteous path, a praiseworthy path, practice, road for others to emulate, he will get the reward. And listen carefully. And he will also get the reward of all those who act upon it after him. That's the hadith. Without reducing anything from their rewards, the hadith says. Then it continues. And whosoever introduces a negative path, a mischievous path, a bad path, a reproachable path, will also carry the burden of what he introduced and the burden of every single one who practices that path that you introduced. That's the term Sunnah. There's a beautiful narration that clarifies the meaning of Man Sanna Sunnatan Hasana. I want you guys to understand this tonight. Because out there, the people of innovation utilize it to justify their negative innovations. The actual narration or the reason of revelation is as follows. Jarir ibn Abdullah, who's the narrator of this hadith, he mentions, a group of people came to Rasulullah from amongst the Bedouins. They were wearing woolen garments and they were in very bad shape. Another hadith says that they were almost naked and they were barefooted with swords by their sides. So when Muhammad saw this state of abject poverty on these individuals, it saddened him. He was very saddened by it, seeing these people wearing hardly anything and they were dressed in such a disheveled style, shabby dress code. So it really affected him. It hurt him. SubhanAllah, Wallahi rahmatan lil alameen, and mercy to mankind. So he looked at his companions and proclaimed out loud to his companions. He said to them, "Fear Allah." They did nothing wrong. But seeing their brothers come in like this, he looked at them and said, "Fear Allah and be dutiful to your Lord. And let every one of you look at that which he has sent forth for the morrow. Let a man give charity," he said, "from his dirham, his dinar. Give charity from his clothes, his wheat, his dates, even if it be a half a date." Now at first, when this hadith was mentioned to the companions, they were slow to respond. They didn't sort of hastily get up and say, "Yeah, what have I got now?" It was, you could say, a slow motion effect. And it could be seen on the Prophet's face, sallam, that he was sad that no one responded immediately. So one man noticed this, a man from the Ansar, radiallahu anhu. He got up and brought a package of silver and said, "Here it is, Ya Rasulullah, this is for these people, the charity that you're asking for the sake of Allah." So when the others noticed this, they immediately, one after the other, what they did? They went and got something. Another man got something. Another man got something. But how did it start, Yasar? By one individual from amongst the Ansar. And when Muhammad saw this effect and the reaction, his face glittered with joy, with happiness. And then he said, "Man sanna sunnatan hasanatan falahu ajruha wa ajru man amila biha ba'da." That's how the narration started. That's the reason of revelation. So from the context of this narration, what do we learn? We clearly understand what he meant by this term is not a good innovation. Sunnah is a path, but whoever revives my sunnah, whoever revives part of my sunnah, whoever teaches it, commands it, whoever emulates my sunnah, hence he's emulated. That's the definition of whoever introduces a sunnah. Is that clear? Is there any doubt there? Alhamdulillah. So this is the definition linguistically of sunnah, and it is nothing more than a way, a path, a road, either to righteousness or to mischievousness. May Allah make us amongst those who introduce nothing other than that which is a praiseworthy sunnah for the sake of no other than the one that created the sunnah. Technical definition. What does sunnah istilahan technically mean? Now here you can see I've got 3 groups. Technically, from the Islamic standpoint, sunnah can have several meanings. It can have what? Several meanings depending on the topic being discussed. This should clarify a lot of issues out there. Once you understand this, it should clarify many problems that occur when people say it's only sunnah. Yes, it is. This will teach you what kind of sunnah it is. So we're going to understand, according to these groups, which are Muslims, all Muslims, but different sort of categories of, of subjects. You got the muhaddithun, you got the usuliyun, and you got the fuqaha. Now they define sunnah differently amongst each other. It depends what they're talking about. The topic of discussion varies in definition. And we'll understand all of them are accurate and precise in their recognition of the term, technically, the technical term of sunnah. Who are the muhaddithun? Who can tell me? Not you, Sheikh Muhammad, you're exempted. Who can tell me the term muhaddithun? What or who is a muhaddith? Scholars of hadith. What's their job? Do they pour concrete throughout the day and eat at night and sleep so they can pour more concrete next day? What's their job?
They analyze the hadith.
Very good. Their main focus predominantly is to assess, to analyze, to investigate, to scrutinize the sanad, the transmission of the hadith. We all know that the hadith is built on 2 elements, correct? The hadith is built on what? 2 elements. What's the first element? Al-matan. Al-matan. Have you heard of that? The second element? As-sanad. What's al-matan? Abu Tariq. Al-matan is the actual text, the saying of the hadith. Where, for example, you have an fulan, qala an fulan, qala, then qala Rasulullah innama al-a'malu bin-niyyat. So this term, all acts are but by intention, that is called the matan. That's the actual text of the hadith. And the other part of the hadith is like a tree. It's the silsilat al-rijal, the transmitters, the narrators, the transmission itself. It's built on men. An fulan, an fulan, an fulan, an Rasulillahi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then the matan comes. So you have a matan, the actual saying of the hadith, and you have what the matan is built on, what it reclines against, and that is the transmission. The transmission. Now this group here, their job is to scrutinize, to investigate the transmission, to see whether it's authentic or weak. Predominantly, that's their focus. You understand what's going on? Are you with me, all of you? Are you sure? نعم يا علي.
هي يقصد محدث أو يقصد؟
We're still up to here.
Okay.
Don't jump the hurdle, huh? Are you all with me? I don't want to go any further if you don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know Mandarin for those who know Mandarin, but I can only speak in English or Arabic. Is it understood what these people do, their job? We did say they're not concrete pourers, did we not? They're hadith pourers. They assess to see how accurate the transmitter is. That's their job. And basically when they deal with the hadith, whether it's sahih, whether it's da'if, whether it's da'if jiddan, whether it's mawdu' and, that's their area. They're the best people to refer to when you want to know if it's a hadith sahih or da'if. That's their area. So how do they define Sunnah? According to the muhaddithun, it's very important. You've got to understand that and you've got to write it down. According to them, the Sunnah denotes, means, every saying, action. I'll repeat, every saying, action, approval, which is probably best word for it, tacit approval, which means a solid approval, tacit, T-A-C-I-T. Tacit approval is a better word. Characteristic, I'll repeat the definitions. Every saying, action, tacit approval, characteristic, whether moral or physical, that has been attributed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is their definition, their technical definition of the term Sunnah, and it's pretty clear what they mean by it. So every saying of the Prophet, every one of his actions, every one of his approvals, every attribute, whether it's moral or physical, that's referred to the term Sunnah according to the muhaddithun. So let us look at that very briefly. Every saying, for example, من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليقل خيرا أو ليصمت. It's a saying. Whoever believes in Allah and the last day should speak good or keep silent. It's an example of what? Every saying. Because he said that to someone. An example of action, every saying or action. The matters of ibadat. One day he climbed the minbar and he prayed on the minbar. And after the prayer, he looked at the companions and said, خُذُوا عَنِّي, or he said, صَلُّوا كَمَا رَأَيْتُمُونِي أُصَلِّي. So he mounted the minbar and they were all watching him. They didn't pray behind him. He actually mounted the minbar. He performed the prayer fully. And then he looked at them and said, صَلُّوا كَمَا رَأَيْتُمُونِي أُصَلِّي. Pray exactly, precisely as you saw me pray. Not like your prayer the way you want to pray. Not like your mother had, or your grandparents, or your grandmothers, or anyone else. The way you saw me pray, you pray. Command. When he performed the matters of Hajj, the rituals of Hajj, he completed the whole Hajj. And then he said, خُذُوا عَنِّي مَنَاسِكَكُمْ. Take from me. Again. From who, Ya Bilal? Who's him? Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Again. Take from me your rituals for Hajj. That's the action. So we know that the saying is understood, the actions understood, the tacit approval. An example of that. Khalid ibn Walid, Sayyidullah radiyallahu anhu, was once eating a dab. What's a dab, Ya Abu Abdullah? You should know, you're a desert nomad. You're from the desert. What is it? Very good. It's a lizard. Very good, Ya Abu Abdullah. A dob is a lizard. So Khalid was sitting down, he was enjoying a lizard. I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure how many of us will enjoy a lizard. Correct, Yusuf? Correct. Have you eaten a lizard before? Have you, Lisa? You sure? 100%. Allahu Akbar. That's why it gives you a lot of hate. Regardless. He ate the lizard in front of William Muhammad Sa'id. And Rasulullah did not eat it. He saw him. He saw him. Didn't say a word. Did he enjoy the lizard with him? No. So some companions were sitting down and they were a bit sort of like surprised. They asked, Ya Rasulullah, ahada haram? Is the lizard haram to eat? He goes, no. But where I come from, we don't know it. And I don't want to eat it. I don't feel like eating it. So he clarified that misconceived matter. But he did not say a word to her, to Ibn Walid. He didn't say, you can eat it, you can't eat it. He kept quiet, which teaches us it's an approval. What's it called? A tacit, T-A-C-I-T, approval. Very important, because the Sunnah is built a lot on this. In many occasions it happened. When something happened in front of him, and he kept silent, didn't say anything, that means that thing, that action is allowable, is permissible, and not haram. As for the characteristics, moral and physically, every single person has moral and physical characteristics. Do you know what In his moral characteristics, he was gentle, loving, caring, patient, extremely merciful, tolerant, patient, and the list just goes on. Physical characteristics. He had big eyes. He was known for his beautiful big eyes. He had a big chest, as mentioned. He had wide chest, shoulders. When he walked briskly, very fast. As the narration mentions, when the companions tried to catch up, they couldn't. They had to almost run to catch up to his walking. He was a very fast walker, and that's how he walked. So these are physical what? Attributes, physical characteristics. So this is according to who? To the muhaddithun. They investigate or they define Sunnah with what we just mentioned. Naam ya Toha.
Now before when you read out that all the moral or physical, after that there was a few words that you said about the Prophet. Do you remember?
The moral or physical characteristics?
Yeah.
Attribute?
Yeah, after that has been
Attributed.
That has been attributed to him.
by the Prophet.
To the Prophet, not by him, because we're talking about him. Hayya Allah, مشايخ ما شاء الله. طيب. هذا مفهوم. Have we understood this? Have we seriously understood this? Yeah, Abu Tariq. 100%. No blemish of doubt. Not even a particle of dust. The second one. According to the usuliyun, how do they define Sunnah? Mind you, that's a beautiful definition by this group. A beautiful definition. Wallah, it's a beautiful definition. Now, how do the usuliyun define the term Sunnah technically? The usuliyun, mind you, are those who explain the basic sources of Islam. In a nutshell, we're not going to get into jurisprudence here. We're just touching it. The usuliyun are those who explain the basic sources of Islam. More or less, what we can say is, if the hadith is sahih, they'll take it from these people and they'll say, we can derive this benefit, we can derive that benefit, we can derive. You see where I'm coming from? Hal fahimtum? Mustafa? That's what they do. Just understand that. Basically, they explain the basic sources of the Sharia. Now, how do they define Sunnah? They define Sunnah as the second most important source of Islam. As the second most important source of Islam. Because we all know that Islam is built on two main sources, the Quran and the authentic Sunnah. Islam is built, the Islamic law is built on two main sources, the Quran and the authentic Sunnah. So according to this definition, the Sunnah both explains the Quran and gives additional rulings and guidance. According to this definition, according to them, the Sunnah both gives the explanation to the Quran, and additional rulings and guidance. Additional rulings and guidance. عائشة بنت أبي بكر ابن أبي قحافة رضي الله عنه. The Sunnah both explains the Quran and gives additional rulings and guidance. Beautifully mentioned by this group again. And it's exactly what the Sunnah does. See, what we're trying to do tonight is comprehensively gather everything that you need to know regarding this term. If you leave tonight recognizing what I have mentioned, Tabarakallah, you are a scholar of the term Sunnah. There should be all scholars, ya Sa'ad, of the term Salaf and Aqidah by now. All of you. So, was that Muhammad? The Ya'fi Muhammad, Allah Subhanahu. So, Aisha bint Abi Bakr ibn Abi Quhafa radiyallahu anhum. A few men approached her after the Prophet's death and said to her, Ya al-Mu'mineen, tell us how the Prophet's character was. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. She looked at them and said, the Prophet's character was the Quran. What was that, Ya Isa? She said it was the Quran, meaning the Quran in motion, the Quran living. So if you wanted to see the Quran alive, walking with life, look at his biography. Study the history of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whatever he did, how he did it, and when he did it, it was an accurate example, parable, picture, living of the Quran. How beautiful. Yeah, in the world after that, yeah, look at anyone saying, I don't want to follow Rasulullah. This guy is indefinitely intoxicated by demons. By demons, not demons. Who have demonized his faculty of intelligence. So basically, this is what they refer to when it comes to the term Sunnah. That he, Sallallahu was no more than the one who explained the Quran. They explained the Sunnah. Remember I told you? He came to explain to us what you said? The Quran. With additional rulings and guidance that may not be in the Quran. Many a time you see in the Quran, for example, وَأَقِيمِ الصَّلَاةِ. Okay. How? How do we أقيم الصلاة يا Mustafa? How do we do it? Are we going to look at page number 67 and say in verse this and chapter this, it tells you exactly how you pray? No. He explained to us the definition, the practice, the movement, as we said earlier on the minbar. And said to us, in recognition of the verse, pray exactly as you saw me. Pray. So now we know when Allah says, Aqim as-salat, exactly how to pray. This is what this refers to, this section. The third group. The term, or the technical definition, according to the fuqaha. Who are the fuqaha? Who's a faqih? Fuqaha is the plural of faqih. Who's a faqih? He's a jurist. Those who deal with Islamic law. They tell you whether it's acceptable, whether it's permissible, whether it's an obligation, whether it's forbidden, whether it is disliked. That is their job, predominantly. So as you can see, according to the fuqaha, if you want to say or define sunnah according to them, we say as follows. We say, according to the fuqaha, technical sunnah means one of the five judgments under Muslim law. One of the five judgments under Muslim law. One of the five judgments under Muslim law. What's the five judgments? One of the five judgments under Muslim law. According to the fuqaha, the term sunnah means one of the five judgments under Muslim law. Did you get it, Ibn? Okay, what are the judgments they're talking about? There's five fundamental judgments in Islam. There's one called wajib, one called haram, one called mandub, one called mubah, and one called makruh. And you all know these terms, do you not? All of you know this. So here is where there's major issues, major problems in the community. They say it's only sunnah. Indeed it is. Indeed it is only sunnah. But sunnah can be one of these judgments. You gotta understand this. It could be sunnah, but an obligated sunnah. It could be sunnah, but a prohibited sunnah. It could be sunnah, but a recommendable or encouraged sunnah, or a permissible sunnah, or a distasteful, disliked, and undesirable sunnah. Yes, it is only sunnah. Are you all with me? Are you sure? I can see a bit of dizziness there. Have I lost you? So according to the fuqaha, yes, sunnah is defined as one of the five judgments under Muslim law.
What were the last two?
Which one, Habibi?
The last two, the mubah.
Mubah
Yep.
and makruh.
What were they?
We're going to get to them very thoroughly, inshallah, ya Yusuf. Number one, wajib. What's wajib?
Fard.
Must.
Must.
That's another area where many say it's fard. Okay, what's fard?
Compulsory.
Okay, what's wajib? Let's forget fard at the moment. It doesn't exist. What's wajib? Okay, usually rendered into English as a few things. It can be obligatory, compulsory, incumbent, mandatory, imperative, binding, a must. All these terms refer to one word, and that is wajib. See, in the Arabic language, the beauty of Arabic is very, very rich. It's comprehensive. One word can mean everything. It's so vast, it's an ocean. But in English, obligatory. What else? Binding. What else? Mandatory. Anything else? Incumbent. Anything else? Compulsory. Obligation. Imperative. Important. And the list goes on. And you still haven't got the richness, as you say it in the Arabic language, one word, wajib. Because it's impossible. Now, what is wajib? What's the ruling? This is important now. We're going to mention the ruling of every single one of them. What is the ruling for wajib? What is the ruling for obligation upon us? The ruling is as follows. It is, or one is obliged. One is obliged to do it, to commit to it, in other words, to do it. Anything that in Islam is obligatory, the ruling for it is one is obliged to do it. And if one does not, and if one does not, and if one does not, he is sinful. He is sinful and eligible for punishment. And eligible for punishment. I'll repeat it. The ruling for wajib upon every single Muslim, male and female, that one is obliged to do it, and if one does not, he or she is sinful and eligible for punishment. I want one of you to tell me, why did I say and eligible for punishment? Why didn't I say and he'll be punished? So if a person abandons an obligated act, right? Why did I not say and he will be punished for it? Mustafa?
Because on the day of judgment, Allah will decide if He punishes him.
Ahsanallahu ilayk. Huh? Only Allah can decide whether He will or not punish. He may forgive him. Allah is ever forgiving, is He not? He's ever pardoning. He may forgive. So we have no ability to claim definitively that he will be punished. It's not us to judge this. Allah judges that. So we say he is eligible. He may, and he may not. Okay, an example of this, so we can get a better understanding. The Hadith says, it's in the Sahih, that say Bismillah, Qul Bismillah at the start of your meal. وَقُلْ, now it's قُلْ, قاف. قُلْ بِيَمِينِكَ, and eat with your right hand. وَقُلْ, again, eat from that which is near to you, from the food that is near to you. All these terms, say, eat. Eat is, in the Arabic language, the indication of obligation. It's an obligatory act. You got to say Bismillah at the start. You got to eat only with your right hand, and you should eat, if you're eating with people, from the food that is near to you. That's an obligated act upon all of us. Upon all of us. And many do not understand this. Many. It's actually sad. For example, I've seen many people when you go to people's houses, and they put a big, bowl of food or whatever it may be, and when people finish the meat on their side, they put their hand over and they grab the other meat from someone else's side. That's not the Sunnah. It's actually haram to do that. It's against the Sunnah. But an obligated Sunnah. See, this is an obligate. To eat with your right hand, is it Sunnah Ya'adil? Yes. But what kind of Sunnah? An obligated Sunnah. See the difference here? It's not a matter of choice. It's a matter of obligation. You have to do it. You have to do it. So any Sunnah that is wajib, it's mandatory. You must. You got no choice. You have to commit to it. You understand so far what we have to? Now here there's another term that's utilized many times. It's called farad. Al-fara'id, for example. We hear it farad. In the English language, they usually say prescribed. Is there a difference between wajib and farad? Have you heard farad before? You all have. Have you heard wajib? You all have. What is the difference between the two? Guess what? There is no difference. According to the majority of scholars, they are the same. They call it interchangeable. What does it mean? That they can take the place of the other. Only one group differed in this area. Who are this group? The Ahnaf. The Ahnaf said, Rahmatullah alayhim, calm down, Ya Ali. Rahmatullah alayhim. They said, whatever obligation comes from the Quran is considered farad. Whatever obligation comes from the Sunnah is considered wajib. Not major difference. That was the difference between farad and wajib according to the Ahnaf. The majority of scholars say, no, it's all the same. And guess what? It's all the same. Haram. Is there a Sunnah called haram? Of course there is. Is that Sunnah, but it's haram. What does haram mean? Prohibited, forbidden, don't touch, don't do it, keep away from it. That's what haram is at the end of the day. Now what's the ruling on haram? The ruling is, it is not allowed for anyone to commit it. It is not allowed for anyone to commit it. It is not allowed for anyone to commit it. And if one does, he or she is sinful. He or she is sinful and eligible for punishment. And eligible for punishment. It is not allowed for one to commit it. And if one does, he or she is sinful and eligible for punishment. An example of that is a classical example of the great Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. He once cursed the woman that tattooed and gets tattooed, the one that plucks her eyebrows, and the one that files between her teeth for beautification, changing the creation of the Almighty Allah. Now when he said this, a lady from the tribe of Asad, by the name of Yaqub, came running to Abdullah and said, "What is this news that has reached me? How dare you curse such and such woman?" He said, "Why should I not curse the one who Rasulullah cursed and the one who's cursed in the book of Allah?" She said, "I read the book of Allah from cover to cover and I did not find any of this." He said, "If you've read it from cover to cover, surely you've recited Surah Al-Hashr, verse number 7, وَمَا أَتَاكُمَ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا." Silence was her response. سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا غُفْرَانَكَ رَبَّنَا وَإِلَيْكَ الْمَصِيرُ. Immediately she took heed of this. But then she said, without going any further in what I would like to say, then she said, "Hey, I find this in your wife." Whose wife she's talking about here? Of Abdullah, the great Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Can you imagine Sheikh Mahmoud? His wife committing that? Surely not. Absolutely not. So he said to her, with all calmness, "My wife's inside. Tfaddali. Go and have a look at my wife. You've accused her of something great." So she goes inside and looks at his wife to see her eyebrows where there's been plucked, or her teeth where there's filed, or there's any tattoos on her face or neck or arms or whatever. And she comes back down and she says, "No, what did you say in her?" But guess what he said? He said, "If you had seen anything in her, I would have never ever slept with my wife in bed." What does that mean? If she did that, no way in the world the family of Abdullah can live with a person like that. That is cursed. Meaning, if she did commit any of these noxious behavioural acts, I would not be a husband to her. I would have divorced her a long time ago. That this is haram now. What's haram? The plucking of the eyebrows. The plucking of the eyebrows. The tattooing and the tattoo. Now forget the old days. Aslam ta'ala ma aslaf. If you had these issues before, no problem. You know, many a times I get calls and they, reverse this is, and they say to me, "Look, Sheikh, I'm tattooed from top to bottom." I go, "And what? What's the problem?" And brothers are telling me you can't be like that. What do you mean you can't be like that? You can't be tattooed. I go, "You tattooed before now?" Because no, of course before. I go, "Khair inshallah. Are you Muslim?" Because, "Of course I'm Muslim. Alhamdulillah. I embraced." He goes, Allah yahfazak wa barik feek. You could be stronger and better than most Muslims out there. You know how many people turn away our brothers and sisters? Wallahi. Ya ahibba, ya izzah, is there anything after kufr and shirk worse than that? If kufr and shirk Allah has accepted the repentance from for those who turn to Him, how about a person who's going to got tattooed or tattooed his whole body? So what? It's the past. Islam erases the past. Islam changes the past into good. Allah is merciful and loving and caring. So don't ever hurt people by turning them away from Islam. And there are many out there today that do this. So basically all that is haram. It's haram to shave the beard. We've thrown it at the woman. It's not fair now. It's haram to shave the beard. And many ahadith leave the beard. Don't touch the beard. Spare the beard. In other words, don't shave it. Forget about the cutting and what size. Don't shave it. It's haram to shave the beard. Ya akhwati al-a'izza. It's a attribute of man's anatomy, a biological characteristic of a male gender that beautifies your face and adorns you. How can you ever touch that hair on your face and shave it off? Where's the logic in that? Isn't mane on a lion not a sign of strength and a warrior and fierceness? Can you imagine a lion with no mane? He becomes a lioness and he'll be the hunter, not the one sitting down waiting for the hunted. So do you understand this? Mafhum? Any problems? Alhamdulillah. Number 3. SubhanAllah, it's getting pretty late, isn't it?
45 minutes.
How are you feeling? Are you alright? We're going to continue next week.
Continue.
Are you alright? Now seriously, if you're getting too exhausted or fatigued, we don't want to continue. It's not just to follow or finish. No, it's to understand. This is your deen. This is your deen. And you must understand. It's not a matter of just get over and done with. No. We're not a teacher here that gets a salary at the end of the month. You're like, can't wait to finish the book. Whether you understand or not, Allah makum. No. We're all in it together. In the sense that we're all seeking Jannah. And the only way we're going to be in it together and seek Jannah if we recognize how to get there. How to get there. And by implementing the actual ingredients that Jannah requires. You know when you want to make a nice stir fry? You put this, you put that, it's more tasty, yeah. Jannah is likewise. You want to get the highest of Jannah. It's a cook at the end, it's an end result. So you got, ingredients. And it's called the ingredients of worship. Of recognizing who Allah is and understanding how to worship Him. Right, Sheikh? Have a stir fry in there? I don't like stir fry, it's very tasty. Love it. But I don't like meat in it because it's not good for you. A little bit of meat out of meat, no. Mandub. It's like saying a name Mandub, isn't it? Like Mahbub. You heard of Mahbub? The one that is beloved, in other words. So Mandub means what? Mandub means superiorogatory. Muhammad, can you please tell the people what superiorogatory means? Okay, spell it out to us. Good luck. Good luck. Astaghfirullah. He's only trying to teach us something, you see. See, sometimes brothers do say things in order to teach us. But there's no such thing as good luck. Say good fortune, no problem. But not good luck. Where nothing happens like haphazardly, out of nowhere. That's what luck is. Something that has happened haphazardly. No. Everything happens for a reason. In Islam, there's no such thing as good or bad luck. Good or bad omen. This is shirk. And inshallah, in our lessons, we're going to be talking about that in the future. Allah barik you. Thanks for that extra sort of sweetness that you just taught us. So mandub is what? It's encouraged, optional, recommendable, voluntary. The best word I like utilizing for it, and it's the most closest of all words, is, I will repeat it, superiorogatory. It is the term for it in reality, in English definition. I'll write it out for you. I want you all to understand this term. Superiorogatory. What is that? That's exactly it is.
There's no option in Arabic.
No, absolutely not. That's the term superiorogatory. What does it mean? It means mandub. That's the best definition for it. What does that mean? It means extra, additional, optional. That's what it is. What's the ruling for mandub? Which is this. In reality, we say sunnah. See? That refers to the sunnah that we many a times say. What are we referring to? This. When we say sunnah, you can now say sunnah when it is sunnah. So mandub, another word for it, as we all know, is sunnah. So here you are allowed to say it's sunnah. Not in a trivial way or in a belittled way. Now, I'm saying,
Should we say it's Sunnah Mandub or?
if you want. Another term for mandub is the word Sunnah. Meaning, according to the jurists, I'm going to give you the ruling now on this. The ruling on mandub, which is the Sunnah, is it is better for one to do it. It is better for one to do it. This is the ruling now. It is better for one to do it. And if one does it, he will be rewarded. And if one does it, he will be rewarded. And if one does it, he will be rewarded. But the one that does not do it, will not be sinful. Will not be sinful. Will not be sinful. I'll repeat it, or is it? You got it? Did you get it?
It's not eligible for punishment.
Well, it's not sinful. How can you do it? The only time you're eligible for punishment is when? When you're sinful. So it's been exempted. I'd like to know here, there are two types of sunnah. There's what's called sunnah mu'akkada. Sunnah mu'akkada. Wa ghayra mu'akkada. It's called a stressed sunnah and a non-stressed sunnah. Even under the term sunnah, there are two branches to it. One that is a stressed sunnah. What does it mean, stressed sunnah? He would always perform it. For example, 2 rak'at before Fajr, he would never ever abandon, even in travel. Because in the travel, when you're musafir, the sunnah is to leave the sunnah. The sunnah is to abandon the sunnah of prayer in travel. He would never abandon the 2 rak'at before Fajr, ever. It's called the stress sunnah. He would not abandon the 2 or 4 before Dhuhr or after Dhuhr, the 2 after Maghrib, or the 2 after Isha, or the Witr. Never ever abandon these. They are called stressed sunnah. Mondays and Thursdays, he would always fast. Never abandon them. They're called the stressed sunnah. Again, what does it mean, Ya Taha? Those that were always performed. Although they were sunnah, they were performed always by him. شبيك يا محمد سعيد كأنك نائم. كأنك نائم. Alright, I'm going to leave it at that. By the looks of it, you guys it is a bit exhausting. It's very, very, very rich. And I know there's a lot of...
Just the mubah, I really want the mubah.
Well, you better come next week, inshallah. بإذن الله تعالى. علي, كله خير. كله خير, كله خير. Are we up to here? Are we all understanding? It's really, really important, the Shabab Allah. Very important. I cannot stress the importance in tonight's lesson. Seriously. So next week, inshallah ta'ala, if there are any questions, please write it down and ask next week. And there's no shame or embarrassment if you don't know something. In fact, if you do not know, as Shafi said, ask. For the cure of ignorance is what? The question. No one knows everything. No one, except the one that created everything. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.